Hey everybody, this is StvRich with Automation Design and Development. As you see here, I am finishing up an article in HubPages on classic CCNA, CCNP network labbing. What it is, I'm actually creeping up on the topic of operations development for data centers, and I'm using classic infrastructure topics of Cisco and VMware to do this. This article, I'm just going over old hardware and comparing and bringing out details for consideration and buying hardware for a lab. This is a picture of a 2600 series router. And if you've never purchased this hardware, sometimes it's a little hard to pull the trigger on it and just get started. So I make a couple of suggestions right away that just get you started. And the whole article is just here to discuss old hardware and new technology and just give you stuff to digest and think about in making the decision for it. I try to include lots of pictures, including the modules, the various different modules that can be included in a router, and discuss it a little bit. Like this is an 8nm asynchronous module that you can plug into a 2600 series or 2621, 2611, 2650, 2600, 3600 routers. Likewise, there's a 4-port module, same thing, same type thing. This is the connector at the back of the module, the big honking handle to slide it in and out of the router. And you can buy this hardware pretty cheap. That's what's so great about it, and build your lab. Like these pieces are like 20 bucks a piece, including the router itself. I've got links to Cisco's white pages discussing the topic of Wix versus HWix, and a little bit in plain English on Wix and HWix. This is your common WIC1T module, which I suggest you use, and the price. You could get 2T modules as well, but it's a different cabling. So you've got to bear that kind of stuff in mind when you purchase the router, if it already has certain types of modules installed. This is a WIC1 DSU T1 that you can plug in. Okay, and then I discussed the 1941, which is a very recently end-of-life router. In fact, it went end-of-life in January of 2013, almost exactly 2 years ago. And I discussed the pricing of something that's newer and higher tech. This is what's known as an integrated services router, and it's still very, very popular in enterprises. And don't let its small size fool you. And I discussed the modules for that a little bit. And you will see why simulation is in fact very important. So let's cut over to Packet Tracer. Because one of the good things about Packet Tracer, aside from not having to lay out money for the actual hardware, you can use something like the 1941 router in virtuality. Yeah, I've got the sounds turned on Packet Tracer, so I know when I click on something. I want one of the 1941s. I want to get a couple of the 2611XMs. XM 2621XM. All right, let's take a look. One of the nice things about Packet Tracer is it tries a little bit to be physical, up to and including if you try to plug in a module, it won't let you if you don't turn the power off, which is nice. So here's an HWIC 2T, 2 serial ports. If I wanted to, I could plug in the HWIC 8A, which I discussed in that article. And this little module, if you buy a new one, it's at least $500-600 bucks, even over $1,000 just the module is. So I just virtually plugged in 800 bucks, 500 bucks. This connector connects to a cable that breaks into a Medusa head of Ethernet cables, breaks into eight Ethernet cords. And this is just 2 serial cables here. So you turn it back on and you can watch the thing boot up. You can watch it decompress the image if you want. I don't want to. So let's go to configure the, well, wait, let me show you something. Let me go back to this. Physical configuration, zoom in, take a look at the picture here. I saved this picture on purpose to show you. This is from an actual eBay picture. The little Cisco symbol. There's one module, 2, 3 spots. You got your RJ45 connectors here, 2 USBs, and check it out. It's an actual ad. Yeah, this was one of the cheaper ones for sale. The cheapest one I saw for sale was 180 bucks, but it went away so quick I couldn't even snap a screenshot of it. So, anyway, let's configure the other routers physically. Now, here's our slots for this one. Let's enlarge it, zoom in. Let me bring up the picture of that router. Notice this area right here and 2 modules. So the realism of Packet Tracer is quite good. Like I said, they don't even let you plug in a module if the power is on. So shut off the power, and I'll plug in the, remember the 4-port asynchronous module I showed you a picture of? Right there it is. How about the 8-port asynchronous module? There that is. How about a WIC 1T? Boom. How about another one? Boom. Okay, let's turn it back on. Is it booting? Yes, it is. Okay, let's go to the other router. Enlarge, zoom in, give it a 4-port, whoops, see, I forgot the power. Give it a 4-port asynchronous module, give it a WIC 1T, give it another WIC 1T, turn on the power, booting. Let's go back to the 1941. Now another thing, if the power is off and you try clicking on the command line tab, it'll give you an error and it won't let you. Every time you restart and reload the operating system on a router, if it asks for the configuration dialog, say no. If you say yes, you will regret it. Just always say no. Configure terminal. I want to give this a host name of 1941. Let's go to show IP interfaces in the brief style. We've got gigabit Ethernet in here, 2 of them, and a couple of serial ports. Notice the nomenclature. Okay. Conf T. You notice all of our interfaces are down in all ways, but let's do something. Let's just go to the interface for the gigabit Ethernet card, and that'll be, oops, is it 00? Yes. And we'll give it an IP address of 192.168.1.10 and a mask. Whoops, I can't see it. Yeah, that's a 10. And I'll say no shut. Then I should do the serial port, I guess. I've got to give this a clock rate, so it's going to be 64. And I'll do a no shut on that, but it'll stay down. The serial line will stay down until it's got a line that is talking to it, a serial port. So I think that's enough. But take a look at how this has changed from this to this. We've got our first gigabit Ethernet card. It's up and not unset. It is not administratively down. The protocol is down, however. And on the serial port 010, All right. That's actually ready to come up. So this one, oops. Actually, before I do that, I want to connect these guys. So I got to go from here. I did serial 010, and I'm going to serial 00 on that one. And I haven't configured it yet, but on this one I'm going to go from 011 to serial 00. Okay. So this one, no, enable conft hostname R1. I just want to look at the IP the IP interfaces here. This has fast Ethernet and serial 00. And the same thing with this. If we wanted to, we could configure but that's fast, not gig. Fast Ethernet 00. Same thing. I could give it an IP address on 192.168.1.11. Okay, but now let's go to the serial port because that's what we want to get talking here. That'll be serial. You notice how the line came alive? Watch. And it says change state to up. Line protocol changed state to up. Likewise, if I go shut, watch the line. See, it goes down. No shut. Okay. And because it's now talking and the protocol is up, what do you think we'll find over here on this side? Notice how the line just came up on its own. It went from down to up. I didn't do anything. But because the console was open and running on this, I hadn't logged out of it, it is announcing that the line came up. So let's go to this one. No. Enable conft. This one's going to be host name R2. And go to int serial 00. And I just want to say no shut. Okay, now on the other one, when I went to this one and said no shut, it came up right away. What do you think's wrong? What we have to do is just configure the line on this one. Let's go to show IP int brief. Now this one serial port's up. There's nothing set on this. I didn't configure it. And the running config, there's no parameters for it, so configure terminal interface serial 011. Got to set the clock on this for came right up, and the protocol came up. If I say shut down, it goes off. Now shut, watch the line, and it comes on. So Packet Tracer is nice. If you combine it with a little bit of web research for the individual routers itself, you can work with some of the more expensive hardware actually. You don't need to work with old hardware. You can have high-speed networks simulated here. And it doesn't cost you a penny. And that's it.